In Project 2, we're going to take a look at protecting a document in another way. Previously, in our last project, we looked at protecting a document using the Start and Force Protection dialog box in our restrict formatting and editing task pane. But in this project, they're going to give us another alternative to protecting a document with a password. And actually, you can do this as you save a file. You can assign a password to then open that document or to modify the document, or both. So you have a little bit of control over who opens the document. If they have the password, then they can go ahead and open it. And then you can also provide a password that if it's okay for them to open but you don't want them to modify it, then they have to have a password for that too. In Project 2A, we'll look at saving this document with a password. We'll protect it with a password so that the person that's opening it has to have the password to open it and look at it. So to do that, let me go underneath, and I've already opened this contract and saved it as they requested there in step 2, and it's on page 300. Now to save it with a password though, we're going to go into the File tab, choose Save As, and I'm saving it back into my coursework folder, Chapter 8. Still has the same name, Word Level 2, Chapter 8, Project 2. In the Tools area, lower left-hand corner here, I'm going to click on the drop-down arrow, and we're going to go to General Options. And in the General Options dialog box, notice File Encryption Options for this document, Password to Open, and they want us just to use our name here. So I'll go ahead and type in my first name. And then the password to modify, if we wanted to allow the user to open the document and then to actually modify it, then we would put another password on there as well. So they're not going to provide that. We're just going to put it in to open it. And then we'll click, do they want us to use the, I don't think they have anything there, so we'll leave that option without a check mark, and then we'll click OK. It's asking us to re-enter our password, so I'll do that. Actually, that password is not very good. I have a short first name, but you certainly want to, when you're applying passwords, to use upper and lowercase letters, numbers if you can. And with these passwords, you can have up to 15 characters. So they're also case sensitive. So click OK to that, and then I'm going to choose Save. And then we'll close out of this and test it. Okay, so now we're going to open. And we'll open the TEC contract again. It's going to ask for a password, so I'll just type in my password. And now I can make changes to the document as is. Now again, if I wanted to restrict them from making changes, I could also place a password on it so that they could only modify it if they had a password. Okay. Now you can also open a document in what they call different views. You can open it up again as read-only. You could open a document as a copy. You could open it in a protected view, and they describe all those views at the bottom of page 300 and top of page 301. And in Project 2B, we're going to open a document in read-only first, and then we're going to look at opening a document in protected view. So to do that, I'm going to go ahead and close out of this one, and we're going to open up a file called TEC Training. Let me go back to my student data files. And then we're going to save this. I'm going to go ahead and save this as they suggest. Word Level 2, Chapter 8, Project 2. Okay. Alright, with that saved, then we're going to close out of it, open it again. This time we're going to open it though as read-only. And to do that, I go to the Open dialog box, you find the file that you're wanting to open, which in this case is the training, and you select it. Then in the lower right hand corner, I'm going to click on the Open drop-down box, and notice these various views that we can open it in. Okay, I'm going to open it as read-only, And now you'll notice on my title bar that it's read only, and I'm not going to be able to, I can make changes, but I can't save those changes under this same name. If I made any changes, I could save it with almost the same name, but I would have to rename it in some way. Okay, all right, I'm going to close out of this one. We're going to open it again. This time we're going to open it in protected view. So open in protected view. Notice this time it is protected. A lot of the options on the ribbon, almost all of them, are dimmed, so you can't make any changes to it. However, if you decide later that you'd like to make changes, you can enable editing, and that gives you access now to a lot of all the features, all the features in each one of the ribbons. So you've got some options here, different ways that you can open your file. Okay, I'm going to close out of that. And in Project 3, we're going to open a document and prepare it for distribution by inserting document properties. We'll also mark it as a final copy, and then we'll encrypt it with a password. And we've looked at document properties before, but they describe it a little bit more detail on pages 302, 303. And I would highly recommend that you go through and read those. I know we've looked at some of document properties previously and added some document properties to a document, but there are additional features in that area that will prove helpful. So please do that before going forward here. You may want to pause the demo before doing Project 3A. We are going to open up another file called RE Agreement. And this is the document that we're going to add additional document properties to. They have us initially in Project 3A on page 304, step number 2. They have you inserting page numbers and also a footer. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to forego those couple of steps. I think we know how to do that. That's just good review to do in these exercises. And then step 3, we're going to insert the document properties, and we're going to actually put in properties that state what the title is, subject, put in subject, put in keywords, category that this particular document would fall in, and also any comments that will be applicable to the document. So to do that, document properties, if you recall, is back on the File tab, Info category on the left. Then on the right hand side here are your properties. Gives you size, how many pages, words, total editing time, when it was last modified, when it was created, when it was printed, none, all kinds of areas here. And again, those pieces of information are explained further on pages 302 and 303. So the first thing that we're going to do is add a title. So I'm going to click in that text box and we're going to type in real estate sale agreement. And then we're going to add a couple of other things here too. We're going to go to the document panel to make and add these options in the document properties. And so to get that document panel, we're going to go to the properties button and choose show document panel. Excuse me. And then in the author name, we're just going to put in first and last names here. Title's already in there. Again, we could have done it in the document panel or back out at the original site. The subject is going to be real estate agreement. And actually, I think what I'm going to, well, keep that same one there. Keywords, real estate. And category is agreement. Status, not going to put anything there. Comments, though, we can put in some comments here. This is a real estate sale agreement between two parties. Okay, so all this information deals with this particular document. And so when you're done with that, then we can go ahead and close out of the panel. And then I'm going to save this as they request here for just a minute. And then they want us to print, and I'm not going to actually do this, but we're going to print just the document properties rather than the whole document. And to do that, we're going to go into the File tab and then Print. And then in the Pages, in the Settings area where it says Print All Pages, typically you would leave it as that and then choose Print, but we want just the document properties. So I'm going to click on the drop-down arrow, scroll down just a little bit, and you can see Document Properties here. And then, I'm not going to do this, but you would click Print, and that would print out just the document properties that pertain to this document. Okay? I'm going to change that back so that it's all Print All Pages as my default. All right. Now, still back in this File tab, we're going to look at how we can restrict documents, whether it be for protecting a document, checking issues in a document, and managing versions of a document. And we'll see here, let's go back to the info, see permissions, prepare for sharing, and versions. These all basically deal for protecting a document. So there's a lot of information there, restricting documents, sorry, not protecting a document. So the first one that we're going to look at is marking a document as final. And by doing that, you're essentially putting that particular document in a read-only status, and it's also an indicator to the person that's receiving it that this document has been reviewed, it's final, shouldn't be any editing or proofreading, nothing is going to be going on after, let's say the boss is the one that has actually looked at the document and marked it as final. So we're going to learn to do that with the document that we have, which is this Word Level 2 Chapter 8 Project 3 agreement, and we're going to mark it as final by, again, going back to the File tab in the Info group, and then Protect Document button. If you click on that, there's an option in here to mark as final. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to say the document will be marked as final and then saved, and that's okay. We'll click OK to that. Then another message appears that says this document has been marked as final to indicate that editing is complete and that this is the final version of the document. Okay, and then they give you some additional information which you might want to read. It's good information to know. I'm going to click OK to that. And then notice now we've got a little marked as final symbol next to the Protect Document button. Alright, now I'm going to go ahead and close this document. And we could have saw it right there actually, but when you open this document, notice the author has marked this document as final to discouraging editing. That's an indicator obviously that's been marked as final, but also on the status bar lower left hand corner there's that icon that appears that tells us that it is marked as final. Now if you want to make changes, and actually before I do that, notice each one of these ribbons, all of the options within those groups, can't make many changes in there. A lot of the options have been dimmed out. So just be aware of that. When you mark it as final, it's basically read only. You can make changes, but you'd have to save it under a new name, just as we indicated previously with opening items as read only. Also in Project 3, we're going to look at applying another password, another way, a method to apply a password to a document. We've looked again previously in the restricting formatting and editing task pane in the Save As dialog box where the general options is located. Those two areas we can protect a document. A third way that we can protect a document is by encrypting it with a password. And if we wanted to encrypt this document with a password, to do that, one additional way, under the File tab, Info again, Protect Document, Encrypt with a password. And it's asking for a password here. We're just going to put in our initials, put in my first and last initials there. It'll ask for confirmation by re-entering the password. And now, when we close out of it, save it, and then we'll open that again. This time it's going to ask for that same password, and you have to have the password in order to open that document. So Word provides a variety of ways to open documents, protect them using passwords.